Hello everyone. This week, The Circular is proud to host Matt Watson, the editorial director and video presenter for Carwow UK. Matt has been a motoring journalist for more than 12 years and has a degree in chemistry. His favorite car happens to be a Fiat 126P. Hope you enjoy the interview. Tell us where your love for cars began.
Gosh, I actually can't really remember. I just always liked cars. Actually, when I was younger, my friends were a little bit more into cars than me, and they knew more about them and bought more car magazines than I did. But I guess I just sort of got into it through that. And my dad was sort of into cars, but he had friends who were more into cars than he was. And so I was interested in those cars, really. It was more than being into cars. What I actually liked was the driving. So I'd get a thrill out of driving certain, more sporty cars. So rather than being actually into the cars and imagining what they're like, it was more the fact that I enjoyed the sensation of driving certain cars. And that's how I got into them. And I also went through a stage doing my own mild tuning, got right in the brakes and doing that kind of things on my early cars.
Have you ever been in trouble when in a car? What's the worst memory you have?
Well, I've crashed a few. I've crashed a few cars. I crashed a car, wrote it off a month after passing my driving test, but that's because someone pulled out in front of me and just smashed the car and it was written off. I've done some silly things in cars when I've done manoeuvres which haven't been particularly clever. I've had a few speeding tickets, but nothing major.
So do you have any car memory that you hold really dear? What's your favorite one?
Actually, one of the things was when I first started being a motoring journalist, the time when I first thought, oh wow, I've made it, was when I first drove a Jaguar. One of my mates' dad had a Jaguar, and another one of his mates had an XJ. And I always loved Jaguars, and they were very when you're growing up a young lad from the Midlands, which is where the Jaguars are built. It was that was the car. I mean, I knew people had BMWs and stuff at the time, but a Jaguar was just, in my opinion, was the ultimate car. So when I finally drove a Jaguar back in 2002, I felt like I'd made it, even though it was an F-Type, which isn't the coolest Jaguar.
So can you tell us how you ended up at Carwow?
So I used to work at a company called Dennis Publishing, which does Auto Express and Car Buyer, and I used to do various things with Dennis Publishing and various other car stuff. So I've been a motoring journalist since 2001. A friend of mine knew the CEO of Carwow. They had some kind of event, and Carwow wanted to do video, and so my friend suggested that they should get me to do it. So we had a few meetings with the CEO of Carwow, what we could do, how it would be, and then I joined Carwow, and I've been at Carwow now for 3 years.
Have you ever reviewed a car and at the end of the review thought, I need this car in my life?
I personally really like the Suzuki Jimny, but I have the privilege of having lots of different cars into test, and I would never recommend a Suzuki Jimny to a normal person as an everyday car to drive, even though it looks cool, because it's massively flawed in lots of different areas. However, as a motoring journalist, because you get access to lots of different cars, you don't need to have one to rely on for your job or for getting around. So we therefore like quirky cars and cars that are a bit different. For instance, I've got a Fiat 126, which was made in 1983, and is basically shit. It's a shit car. But it's fun to drive. It's just quirky. It's different. It's completely the antithesis of modern cars. So I quite like it for that reason. So in terms of cars that I'd actually like to keep, there are some, like the RS4. I used to have an RS4, which I ran as a long term, and I was sad to see that go. But now it's been replaced by a BMW M850i, and I'll be sad to see that go. But actually, very few cars that I would want to buy myself because I don't need to. However, there are plenty that I would consider if I was a normal person and didn't get to do my job. I'd probably have a Mercedes A-Class.
So are there any other motoring journalists out there that you look up to?
So when I was a kid, obviously, I followed Clarkson. So Jeremy Clarkson was the motoring journalist. I used to watch Top Gear way before it was Clarkson, Hammond and May, the original Top Gear. And it was all kind of boring apart from this kind of quirky, tall, goofy guy with curly hair. And that was Clarkson. And yeah, he's the motoring journalist that I looked up to, because what he did, he completely changed car reviewing. He made it completely different, especially video. the way that it doesn't have to be all kind of sensible. It can be fun. You can have fun doing it. And he also does a really good way of explaining things to normal people about cars without it being completely geeky and boring. And actually, if you watch Top Gear, you kind of get the impression, some people might think that he doesn't know that much, but it's all played up. He knows so much about cars, but that allows him to actually explain things to people in an easy to understand and fun way. And I guess that with my videos, I've kind of tried to do a similar thing. Even though I don't copy him, I kind of copy how he considers a car review. The main difference between me and him, though, would be, there'd be two. One, he's way better and more successful, a lot richer. But the other one is that he does a lot of things for effect. So he will take a view on a car for entertainment value. Ultimately, I'm trying to give people advice on which is the right car for them to buy. So I have to be fair and balanced.
This is a perfect segue for our next question, because I need to ask you, were you approached by the BBC at any point to host Top Gear?
No, I wasn't at all. I actually contacted them because I would have been keen to do it. I contacted them and didn't hear anything. I did the show reel as well to go in it and didn't hear anything. I know some other journalists who went for it, who actually got called in for an actual screen test, but I never got even close.
So what would you say is your ambition as a motoring journalist?
There's so much, isn't there? I mean, what do we do on YouTube? We do about 32 million views a month on YouTube, the Carwow channel, and it's kind of making it pretty much with Top Gear. Top Gear's about 2 million ahead of us at the moment. One day I'd like to be well ahead of Top Gear on YouTube. The other thing that I'd like to do is maybe branch out and us do something on other formats, not just YouTube, be that television, streaming, or whatever, or some new website platform, social media app, I don't know. We're still only reaching a very small proportion of people with our channel.
So has your job on Carwow made you a celebrity? Are you often approached by fans?
So I'm trying to think, I get potentially recognised, actually someone will speak to me. I get that about maybe 3 times a week, and it's in the weirdest place as well, but I think I was in Croatia and I was just at the passport thing, the guy at the border control, and he's looking at my passport and he was looking at me odd, and I thought, what's happened? Is there some kind of criminal that looks like me and they're about to take me in for questioning? But actually he was someone who watches Carwow, and it does happen quite a lot. And you also, when I'm in town and stuff, I have people looking at me weirdly, and I'm looking down my top as if I've spilled something, because I'm not famous. I just do some YouTube videos. It's a surprise when people do actually recognise me. But it's good. I really like it. It's quite cool.
So, outside of cars, what do you enjoy? What are your passions outside of cars?
This is the kind of bit where I show you that I have no life. Essentially, the amount of hours that go into doing what I do, it is my life. It's my hobby. I enjoy it. I go to the gym. I like to keep fit. I like to see friends, all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, most of my time is spent doing this job, traveling around the world and doing this job, because we churn out about 3 to 4 videos a week. And I don't just do this. I'm in charge of our editorial section of our website, so all the written stuff, which I have to oversee as well. I spend less time doing that than I do the videos, but I don't just present the videos. I plan them and I go through the edits and make sure that it's right, and I direct edits as well. So there's a lot more involved than me just saying stuff on camera.
That's a great job, Matt. Seriously.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. So it's a really cool job. What I do, I really enjoy, and I don't ever have Monday morning itis. I don't have that. But the flip side is that I consumes my entire life. It just takes up all my time, and often I overcommit of what I want to do. And for instance, there's lots of different things or opportunities that I could do or could film, and I have to not do them because I just simply don't have the time.
Fair enough. So these are 2 questions in one. First, I need to know, what is your dream car? And if you had to have one car for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Okay, so dream car. This sounds ridiculous as well. I don't really have a dream car because it changes. For instance, I recently filmed a Toyota Corolla, and I enjoyed that as much as a McLaren 720S I drove not so long before, and they were both really good in their own unique way, because I appreciated the Toyota Corolla, how it had gone from being like a boring car that's very so-so to drive to being something that's actually nice to drive, really interesting in terms of the design as well, and yet it can do incredible economy because of the hybrid system, which Toyota does so well. So I really enjoyed that. I find it very interesting, and I wouldn't mind a Toyota Corolla. And then the 728, it's got insane performance. There's the design as well and the things that they've done with it. It's really interesting. But as a normal person, they would probably just automatically go for the most expensive, most fastest car. But I found the Toyota equally as fascinating in its own way. That doesn't really help you much. I've also recently driven a Tesla Model 3, and I really like the Model 3. I'd like a Tesla Model 3. I'd also like, because I don't have children, I would probably have a Porsche 911.
So what would you say is the most annoying trend in the motor industry right now?
Not seeing Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. That's an annoying trend. Also, I think the manufacturers of infotainment systems, they almost seem a bit pointless, but they're never as good as Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so I'd rather just use my phone. Just give me a screen that I can sit next to. That's all I need. Very hard job developing a car. Very hard. I mean, I think it's funny that Tesla have got into the business of doing it because it is very, very costly and very, very risky. You're much better off making mobile phones. A lot more money in that.
Would you say that petrol heads are a dying breed? Do you think there's a future for us?
It's quite interesting that some younger people aren't so interested in the car and how it works, but still are very much interested in cars and what it says about them. So they like the car as a status symbol for the tech involved in it. But for that kind of being like really interested in the sensation of driving, I think that is reduced slightly. But part of that is down to the fact that more and more people on the roads means there's less opportunity to really get and experience the dynamic capabilities of a car. Also, people are less inclined to modify or tune or tweak their car or even work on it. So they're not so interested in the engineering involved in the car. So I think that has reduced, but I still think there will always be people who are interested in driving. And some people are saying about like electric cars, how they'll be the death of like the petrol head. But honestly, I think what will actually happen is that we will look back on the internal combustion engine as a complete and utter red herring, that for about 120, 130 years, we went down the route of trying to finesse this system which was just a dead end. Because you think about all the engineering that goes into the internal combustion engine, all that kind of stuff, and all that stuff that takes up a lot of space, and all the moving parts in the current engine, turbochargers, all that kind of stuff, fuel injectors, when really all you need is some lithium-ion batteries and some magnets with some copper wire wound around them. I mean, I'm simplifying it, but that's all you need for an electric car to go. And the performance you get from an electric car is equally, if not more exciting.
Okay, so this is a rapid fire set of questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so electric or petrol? Matt, it's rapid.
That's the hardest one, okay, because, electric.
Ferrari or Lamborghini?
Ferrari to drive, Lamborghini to look at.
Top Gear or Grand Tour?
I don't really watch either. Don't have time.
0 to 60 or top speed?
0 to 60 every single time.
Hot hatch or supercar?
If you're going to give it me free, supercar. If I'm buying it myself, hot hatch.
Fuel economy or practicality?
Depends. Fuel economy.
Comfort or speed?
Comfort.
Wood or leather?
Leather.
Perfect.